Welcome, my friends, to the world of HeroQuest, a place unlike any other, where today I set out to recap my top 10 HeroQuest moments of 2024. This year has been packed with epic quests, bloody battles, and daring adventures, as old heroes and new heroes alike join the fight against Zargon and his chaotic minions of dread. From being reunited with a childhood treasure to creating custom cards, this channel and its subscribers have helped shape my love of HeroQuest to legendary new heights. So grab your gear, ready your spells, and prepare to relive the most unforgettable moments of this year's adventures. Let's dive into the magic. This is the Fair Weatherman. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. 2024 has been one epic year for me. The last 5 months of content creation has surpassed all of my expectations, and from the bottom of my treasure chest, I can't help but thank you for all of the love and support. The channel is less than 100 subs away from my goal of hitting 1,000 by the start of the new year, so if I haven't earned your subscription yet, I hope I can today. As we say goodbye to 2024 and look forward to what 2025 will bring, I would like to reflect on how I got here. And be sure to stick around for my thoughts on the future of HeroQuest and what we have to look forward to in the new year. Let the countdown begin. 2024 was a wonderful year for me and my newfound love of HeroQuest. Last Christmas, I ran across the re-release of HeroQuest on Amazon and was shocked. I had no idea it was still a thing. HeroQuest was a fading memory for me, locked away in the depths of my mind. Lived on through a short snippet of me and my brothers opening it as a present on Christmas Eve in 1991. The video exists on a vintage handheld camcorder at my parents' house. But just seeing the box art brought back everything. The incredible artwork, the sound of the plastic figures rattling together, and the miniature world that was unveiled with every roll of the dice. I had to have it again. So a few weeks later, for my 43rd birthday, I relived the magic one more time, opening the board game that unlocked so much excitement and epic adventures. We celebrated with a dungeon-themed costume party where everyone had to come dressed as their favorite hero, or was refused entry to the makeshift inn. We battled for 2 to 3 hours, getting nowhere as my brothers and our children attempted to relearn the game. With 5 heroes and me dressed as Mentor, or was I Zargon, who knows, we concluded the night as a draw and vowed to try it again with less players. It wasn't long after we had a few quests under our belts, I got the bright idea to check Etsy for miniatures of the named characters found in the base system. After all, the Dread Sorcerer can only be so many bad guys before the redundancy sets in. It was then I realized how many HeroQuest themed sculpts existed online, from alternative sculpts for the controversial Guardian Knights to the mythic tier Druid, Bard, and one epic dragon print. All of which were made in Italy and shipped to the US with the exchange of all of the gold found in my bank account. My initial thought was to purchase a few heroes and attempt to play all expansions with pieces from the core game set. But lesson learned, it's way cheaper to purchase official content, and it's only a matter of time before we get all, if not most, of the mythic tier content. If anyone would like to purchase a bag of secondhand mini 3D sculpts, I got you covered. Etsy has attempted to drain my bank account multiple times, but my mind points have held up, mostly. I still feel the evil pull every now and again, with my most recent purchase of magnetic dungeon walls traveling internationally at this very moment and arriving at my doorstep in 2025. So stay tuned for a review in the next few weeks. The normal progression into the depths of the HeroQuest dungeon revolve around creating and printing homebrew. I felt this pull early on, after seeing a really cool champion elf hero on Reddit. So down the rabbit hole I went, looking into how I can print HeroQuest cards that resemble official content. I found out that the process is relatively easy as long as you follow a few simple guidelines. Prep your cards by removing all copyrighted logos and markers before sending them to makeplayingcards.com. This will drastically speed up the verification process and get the cards into your hands much quicker. Even after my long ordeal, I still plan on printing another batch soon. After saving up my treasure hoard and setting out to purchase all official HeroQuest content, I came across an obscure HeroQuest card game I hardly heard anyone in the fandom talk about. HeroQuest, the card game, as it was so cleverly called, is almost as elusive as the Guardian Knight, rarely making an appearance on eBay and asking for ungodly amounts of money in exchange. Way more than the Guardian Knight. which is already out of my league, for 2 small obscure pieces of red plastic. It's probably not even worth it. Ugh, keep telling yourself that. Anyway, where was I? I scoured the internet trying to find out how to play this thing, and no one seemed to have one or recall it was even a thing. I even heard some say their pre-orders just disappeared and the item was never sent. Maybe it was recalled due to its strange play mechanics and lack of toyetic gameplay. Either way, I had to find a way to recreate a HeroQuest card game, as we were about to set out on a weekend family campout, and I wanted to see if I can take HeroQuest on the go with me in the form of a solitary type game. The following is how I adapted the basic play mechanics into a dice rolling card game that resembles what was supposed to hit store shelves, but never materialized. If you got your hands on one of these small rare boxes, count yourself as one lucky duck. As the channel continued to gain traction among the fandom, I was blessed to be able to review a few pieces of homebrew content in 2024. The Zurin had graciously gifted me a few card systems to play around with in exchange for my honest review. I was happy to oblige, and my first 2 reviews were filmed and posted online. I found these types of videos a lot of fun to produce, and both were some of my more lengthy additions to the channel. I really enjoyed adding the advanced game system to my dungeon, as well as playing around with the dungeon creation with Uncharted Dungeons, which gave birth to my next adventure, Advanced HeroQuest, which I'm happy to announce I'll be adding more content to the channel in 2025. For a more detailed review of both of these card systems, check out the videos in full. The links, as well as all the others, are in my top 10 and will be posted in the description below, so be sure to check them out. Speaking of unboxing videos, my HeroQuest journey came full circle in 2024, with the addition of the original board game added to my collection. This amazingly fun and immersive game led me and so many children into the old world by means of 4 red heroes in a dungeon full of chaos and magic. Opening the box, I felt like a kid again, walking through a wardrobe into a room full of magic? Wait, wrong story. But I was teleported back to Christmas Eve in 1991, and as a 10-year-old trapped in a 43-year-old's body, I still felt the pull back into the universe that awaits me, unchanged all these years later. There's something about the original board, the hand-drawn art, and the plastic figures that can never be replaced, only added to. I was happy to relive that moment with you, and I continue to look forward to sharing it by talking about it and taking it out and setting it up in future videos. I swore an oath to the wife to not let it sit idly on a shelf collecting dust. And as a noble husband who keeps his promises, I stand to live up to this oath or die trying. I want to give a shout out to the HeroQuest subreddit for inspiring me to start painting. It seemed like a daunting task to comprehend, and I was nervous about ruining my game pieces, but I feel it was well worth it in the end. I was amazed to see what color does to the game board, especially on film, and it wasn't all that hard to learn. I just needed a little inspiration. I forgot how the little bits of color on some of the furniture from the original game created such a unique aesthetic not found in other board games at the time. After I painted my base set and put them in action, I realized how much this was missing from the re-release. At this time, I have no desire to start painting figures. My first goal was to paint up all the furniture across all the expansions, and I still have Against the Ogre Horde and a few items from Jungles of Delthrak to complete in my next session. I recently finished my Elven furniture from Rise of the Dreadmoon and the Mage of the Mirror, which will be featured in a video at the start of the year. If you can't wait until then, head over to the subreddit to check it out. If you're on the fence about painting, I'd like to encourage you to give it a try. It's a slow process, so be sure to set aside a lot of time and remind yourself with every attempt you'll continue to get better. YouTube has a lot of great HeroQuest how-to tutorials, and the subreddit is a fantastic place to gather ideas and ask questions from experienced painters. So grab some paints and get ready to dive deeper into the hobby. This year brought another pleasant surprise when my channel was featured on AshQuest. I enjoyed the fun spotlight on the unofficial HeroQuest guidebook and saw an uptick in subscriptions afterwards. So if you're listening, thanks Ash. The HeroQuest unofficial guidebook is something I compiled for my children when they started to learn how to play. It not only deepened our gameplay, but sparked an interest for my son who was learning how to read at the time. HeroQuest is full of homebrew characters, cards, and content, and I find it a joy to be able to give something back to the fandom. There's a tight-knit fandom that a handful of people strive to keep alive all these years. And when it was announced it was getting a re-release, no one knew how much content Avalon Hill would create. We've seen almost everything vintage get a revamping, but a few notable pieces that the fandom is anxiously waiting on. More on that in a minute. As well as some unique additions from the team. I can't wait to see what surprises are in store for 2025. I would love to see a Skaven expansion of some sort, and I'd even be okay without the name brand box. Call them Ratmen if you'd like, but give me a handful of sewer-dwelling beast. You could even throw in a female dwarf to destroy the swarm. After all, no one does content creation better than Avalon Hill. One of my biggest successes in 2024 was also one of my most noteworthy failures. What is First Light has grown to 10,000 views so far, and with the expansion set to release in 2 weeks, I can only assume it will continue to grow. It's after I posted the video, I realized it was plagued with poor audio. I almost immediately deleted it, but it was too late. The video took off and I was faced with the decision to leave it up and learn from my mistakes. Something I continue to do with each upload. Here's what happened behind the scenes making that video. After watching a detailed interview from Gen Con with Doug and Patrick from Avalon Hill, posted to @HeroQuest Fans YouTube channel, Sup Kurgan, I raced to put together a recap for breaking news out of Gen Con. In my effort to move quickly, I failed to check the audio input levels on my mic. I worked hard to fix the issue in post-production, but anyone who knows their way around audio understands that it's not an easy fix. While editing on my Mac, I thought I added enough bass to counteract the treble and attempt to fix the echo, but that only added to the problem. Luckily, I was only called out by one user for the poor production quality. This video goes down as my most watched in 2024 on the channel, and the most cringy for me to listen to. And for the record, it was not filmed in a bathroom. And now to my number one HeroQuest moment in 2024. As I mentioned before, my companion through most every dungeon has been my 6-year-old son. Like me as a child, he fell in love with the game as soon as the box was opened, and he got his hands on the miniatures. His favorite hero to play is Grimdar Blackshield, a battle-hardened dwarf. I've lost count of how many times Grimdar has conquered the dungeon and how much gold he's dragged out on his back. Together with my elf, my son and I have completed the base game quest, the Betrayal of Sir Ragnar expansion by Lazurin, the dreaded Frozen Horror, and we're almost through Keller's Keep. We also exterminated Skaven, who took over the halls of Durardog, and created a handful of dungeon dives with Axion Quest and the advanced game system. It's only a matter of time before he starts making his own quest and GMing as mentor as I explore his creation. Our time together happens to be my most treasured memory of 2024. The re-release of HeroQuest has given me these moments to bond with my son, as well as a lot of other guys the same opportunity with their children. I may not be able to rely on a steady group of guys to play with, but I can always count on his enthusiasm to slay monsters on any given afternoon. The nostalgia is strong in this game for me, and hey, who knows how he'll feel about it 33 years from now. For now, I'll enjoy his company for as long as he's willing to give it to me. And for that, I'd like to thank Avalon Hill and its team for creating these moments for all of us. With 2025 on the horizon, we can only speculate about what's in store for HeroQuest. With only one officially announced expansion, or expandalone, First Light is the only thing we have to look forward to. Or is it? Rumors are brewing around a few sites posting pre-orders for the long overdue re-release of the Crypt of Perpetual Darkness and the most sought after of all expansions, the Wizards of Morcar, or Von Zargon, or however they're going to adapt this one from the UK original into the US universe. Personally, I hope they find a way to reveal Mentor and Morcar, Zargon, whoever, as two sides of the same coin. After all, you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And we all know Mentor's taken his fair share of trips around the sun. I'm usually not one for casting heroes as villains, but with the countless amounts of official content across 10 expansions, we've yet to see this epic showdown between good and evil. Don't get me wrong, I don't want to see HeroQuest wrapped in 2025. But where can the story go? How many times will Zargon continue to get others to do his dirty work? The HeroQuest universe needs this long-awaited battle. You can even throw in an official Zargon sculpt. But let's not stop there. As someone who entered post-mythic tier, I'd like an official re-release of the female wizard sculpt a female dwarf sculpt, and the Witch Lord sculpt. Wherever the story leads, let's hope Avalon Hill plans to give us a fresh take on missing Mythic tier content. We all know the fans deserve more than 4 semi-interesting heroes and a weird-looking dragon sculpt in 2025. And you guessed it, my favorite sculpt is the new elf. What a pose. I plan on making these new additions as hero apprentices, but more on that in 2025. And speaking of dragons, it's time to recast an epic translucent green Venom, with the addition of the Crypt of Perpetual Darkness. I would love to get my hands on this quest pack, as well as the hopeful addition of a Minotaur sculpt and an evil swamp hag. Unofficially, we set to receive the lost but not forgotten wizard quest pack. Luca Pasci and a team of dedicated fans have been working tirelessly on recreating the abandoned project from the 90s, after acquiring the notes from someone who worked on the project. This will come in the form of a digital download, freely given to the fandom. This is probably the most exciting thing I have to look forward to in 2025. Until then, I wish you and your family a Happy New Year. Remember, however you choose to celebrate, be sure you do it safely and have a plan to make it home to the ones you love. And as always, danger, you will soon discover, lurks in every shadow. Your very survival depends on your ability to work together, for no true hero stands alone. Come, let the quest begin.